Right, we're resuming at the beginning of turn 7. We've had a lunch break and the action's hotting up. Here in the centre, 2 French infantry battalions have assaulted the Dutch-Belgian line. They have flank support and rear support, or certainly allies to the rear. In the centre, Jerome's brigade have stormed over the river, the 2 rearmost battalions taking casualty to form and move at full speed, while 2 battalions are trying to assault the Dutch-Belgian line. And as we move along, the rest of the French infantry, I'm sure, will move forward this turn. And on the flank, the 2 regiments of French lancers have charged the avant-garde Brunswickers, who have managed to form square. So we'll go along and do charge results and shooting and see how we progress in turn 7. Right, this is the start of turn 8. Looking pretty good for the Allies this end of the table. The Dutch-Belgian line still continues to hold, and any assaults by that brigade of French have been thrown back. French obviously still own Chemincourt Farm, but the assaults against this Dutch-Belgian line again were all thrown back. Not actually causing the French battalions to retire, but they were just driven to a halt and did a ragged volley against the Dutch, and no progress. Over here, the French cavalry are active for this turn, so we'll see what they can do. They do have some Dutch Belgians in front of them, some of them square, some of them in line. So plenty of French assault power here, but they haven't been doing so well so far. Over on this flank, we have a Dutch Belgian battalion that lost fire discipline, volleying away at those skirmishers, and as we get right round here, the French have now deployed their horse artillery battery in support of the light cavalry brigade. So these guys are ready to potentially have another go, but they are all unformed at the moment. And Charlie can now release his hussars to potentially do a counter-stroke. And we'll look down the table. It's getting very busy in the centre. Still very unclear who's going to win this one. Unusually for me and Charlie's games, we're on turn 8 and not a single unit has been broken. Usually we've lost a brigade or 2 by now. So we'll see how turn 8 continues. Right, we're right at the start of turn 9, finish of turn 8, and the French have got thoroughly fed up on this flank and are deploying a foot artillery battery on this hill to pummel the Dutch. It's not feeling particularly healthy over here. The French infantry battalions continue to be thrown back. One has been destroyed thanks to fabulous musketry fire by these Nassau riflemen, and another one was retreated, so we've got a faltering brigade test on this brigade. Hopefully there won't be an adverse result and that cavalry will survive. In the centre, the Dutch have regained their courage and they are now looking to retake Chemincourt, so they're advancing up to Chemincourt, and some of the British are moving up to provide some flank support for this position. In the centre, things went slightly better for the French. The 6 infantry battalions here, 4 of which are assaulting in this particular brigade, have finally broken the Dutch-Belgian infantry battalion, so that has routed. And they're now coming up against the next Dutch infantry battalion, and you've got those Brunswick hussars which are going to go and crash into them, I'm assuming, next turn. So we wheel round to the left. The rest of the French attack seems pretty stalled. Oh yeah, reminds us we actually still have a bit of hand-to-hand combat, so we'll see how those hussars get on. We'll do that hand-to-hand combat, and that will end turn 7, and we'll come back after turn 8. Right, we're at the beginning of turn 9. The Dutch-Belgian hussars have done well. The unformed lancers didn't stand up well to the hussars' attack, and the 1st battalion that was hit has been driven off and we're retreating to the edge of the table, and they're ripe for another attack by the 2 regiments of Dutch-Belgian hussars, and indeed the Allies have initiative which will help. On this flank, the French are at least active, and that Dutch-Belgian brigade or battalion looks exposed. The French cavalry may be able to finally get moving, as their infantry attack is now penetrating towards the edge of Quatre, but they are going to have to see off the attacking Brunswicker Hussars, and the Hussars are close enough, as the intervening Dutch battalion had routed out of the way. They are close enough that they're not going to have time to form square before the Hussars hit them, so that could be a bit unpleasant. And as we move across the board, the French remain in occupation of Gemincourt, and despite the volleying from the Dutch Belgians, the artillery battery has survived intact on that hill, and the brigade passed its faltering test. Unfortunately for the French, this looks pretty tough nut to crack now, as a second infantry brigade for the British has arrived. So we've still got a strong Nassau brigade in the front and 2 British brigades. So this right flank between Bassau Woods and Quatre Bras looks like a surefire thing for the British. On the other flank, we've still got pretty much an uncommitted French division waiting to come, and we'll see how things pan out in turn 8. Right, we're at the end of turn 9, beginning of turn 10, and some fairly dramatic developments in the battle. Over on the far left flank, the counterattack by the Dutch-Belgian Hussars has blown itself out a bit. The attacking battalion has now taken 7 casualties, the attacking regiment rather, and has fallen back through its own lines. The 2nd regiment is still there and facing off against a horse artillery battery. Both French Lancer regiments are in reasonably healthy state, but still unformed and have retired to their own lines. The brigade is hesitant, as is the infantry brigade next to them. And we have a strong cordon now of Brunswickers and Dutch-Belgian facing off against this French assault. The cavalry really will have to have a go at that square, hopefully soon. In the centre, the Brunswick cavalry is now pouring through the village, including their lancers. Look at those. Do like the Brunswick lancers. There we go. They've broken the 1st French infantry battalion and are now ploughing into the central French brigade, also of Jerome's division. While over on the right flank, things are looking alright for the Allies in the centre against Gemincourt, still held by the French, and the French attack the Allied attack by the Dutch-Belgian Jaegers was thrown back, but the combined volley fire and the enfilade from the British regiment has caused a lot of casualties in the flank of the attacking French brigade. Then as we move across, you can see that things in the centre went from good to great. So the whole French attacking brigade has fled off the table. They resulted in a retire result. All their battalions were within 12 inches of the table edge. Sorry, I think it was a retreat result. All were within the relevant distance, 18 inches of the table edge, and have retired off the table, taking their 2nd artillery battery with them. So they've now lost 2 of their 3 heavy artillery batteries. So over here, there's just a big hole in the French lines. They are now anchored on Gemincourt and trying to come around the little left flank of the British and Allies. Tough ask now. 2 very damaged French brigades, but still an attack division and all their cavalry still to come. So see how things play out. Not giving up yet.